have a problem. No, actually, we all have a problem. The topic that this video is about is trivial, but as a 16 years old, I think I can talk about this for the sake of other minors. This is the first video I have attempted to share my opinion and give a general commentary, so I'm open to any logical comment or criticism. Children should not be given technological devices with access to the internet until they are at a responsible age or level where they are less likely to be affected, preferably by proper internet education. Trigger warning: mentions of grooming and cyber grooming. In this video, I will be talking about mainly two titles. Number 1, vulnerability, and number 2, development. Of course, it's not sufficient enough to fit what I plan to talk about into two titles. However, this is as much as I can talk about, so let's get right into it. Vulnerability. As you might have guessed from the title, the first and the main reason that children should not be allowed on the internet is because of how vulnerable they are. However, this vulnerability shouldn't be brushed off as, "Oh, they're just innocent, that's why." Firstly, children's cognition develops gradually. As much as I love to call small children snot-nosed gremlins, children are almost always innocent. Any behavior they do is somewhat affected by observation and analyses. This is literally proved by so many pedagogical researchers out there. Considering this, we can all agree that children are prone to be affected the wrong way if they consume unsuitable media. In that case, when grown-ups introduce children to the internet, they're actually doing more harm than good. Imagine giving a person a piece of radioactive element and telling them not to get radioactivity poisoning. Access to the internet and social media platforms have been shown to lower self-esteem and render people self-conscious. People who are aware that most content shared online are altered in some way may not find a problem with this, simply thinking of it as people don't want to look imperfect online. However, children, teens, and generally anyone who is not aware of this fact can develop such issues. According to a survey done by EU Kids Online, the top online activities of children are schoolwork by 92%, playing games by 83%, watching videos by 75%, and social networking by 71%. When European children were observed, almost half of the children aged 11 to 12 were present on social media by a rate of 59%. For 9 to 10 years old, this number was 28%. However, considering that on paper, kids no younger than 13 should not be on social media, these are alarming results. This makes children prone to being exposed to harmful content such as inappropriate content in media, solicitation by sexual predators in chat rooms, other forms of social media, and by email, online bullying or harassment, inappropriate disclosure of personal information and data theft through oversharing or other means, spyware, viruses and malicious software, scams, and excessive commercialism. While yes, these contents can be blocked and filtered by internet service providers, there is a limit to it as there are bazillions of these contents out there, shared by different people who may use tactics to bypass such filtering. So, minors are unable to avert such disasters. This relates to our second point, development. Children develop accordingly to what they get exposed to. And we're not talking about, hurrah, if a kid plays FPS games, they will be interested in violence, which is not entirely false. From what I've read and learned about the brain, is that briefly explaining, the brain opens up paths depending on what kind of information and how frequent you feed it with. This phenomenon is called neuroplasticity. While the main brain development ends around 25 years of age, any person is susceptible to such developments. So, if you feed a brain with constantly mathematical stuff, the brain will open paths to it, and then if you keep the information flow constant, those paths will be permanent. However, if you do this, for example, with +18 stuff on a child, the brain will develop in that direction. This sounds wrong on its own, but to further elaborate, the kid, no matter the age, will have a tendency to do anything inherently sexual. There are other dangerous things on the internet, but one main problem that I've witnessed is the overall increase in the 16 plus and 18 plus topics among children. What I mean is, children have begun to make sexual remarks, get sexualized on the internet, seek validation in their outer appearance, dress up with clothing articles that are obviously not suitable for their age and are originating from adult concepts, and most importantly, glorify unsuitable relationships such as groomings and sugar relationships of a minor and adult. Because monkey see, monkey do. This is what they see from their peers or people they admire. There are also enabling parents for some of these cases. Following this, the tween identity has almost been eradicated, and now children are shuttled off to the late teens and young adults area right from childhood. Even though there is not a lot of age difference between me and the new teens, there is a significant difference between generations. Children have learned that in order to be socially accepted, they need to have a glow up without experiencing the quote-unquote ugliness of puberty. But society seems to have forgotten that it is normal for tweens to look ugly or have a face filled with acne or have smaller chests. What these children see on the internet has altered them to abnormalize their bodies and look up to adults with more mature and perhaps altered bodies. Most importantly, I want to point this out. There is a reason why anything adult or sexual is marked as 18 plus. I want to say that sexuality is one aspect of an adult to be, and it is natural. However, people have grown desensitized to hypersexualization, such as the stuff I mentioned formerly, and obviously this is not something good. We're talking about young people, even younger than 10, use the arguments, but you are the one sexualizing me, or the my body, my choice, in attempts to shut off criticism and warnings when confronted. Okay, you may ask. Why is hypersexualization bad? What makes it bad? To answer this question, I can use one specific word: objectification. If someone hypersexualizes someone, they see them as nothing more than objects for sexual pleasure. This does sound bad on its own, especially when the recipients of such things are children. Anyone 18 and under is legally and psychologically not considered to give full consent if they are coerced into such stuff. Hence, it is criminal for them to be hypersexualized. To connect this to the title development, when minors are exposed to such stuff while having not completed their psychological development, their brains tend to develop in those aspects while they lack intellectual and emotional intelligence. There are a few solutions to this problem. One solution seems to be permanently abandoning online life. However, as much as we would love to abandon the online life, hearing all of these, most necessities nowadays are handled on that domain, which makes it hard to do so. Yet as someone who thankfully averted dangers of the internet with the proper internet knowledge bestowed upon me by my IT teachers and parents, I can assure you guys that before anyone gets access to the internet, if they get educated and informed about what they're getting involved in, it is possible to use the internet safely. Below, I'm going to provide some useful links for parents and generally anyone who would like basic knowledge of proper internet usage. And my message to parents who want to give access to their children is this: please sit them down and give them a talk of everything good and bad and how it is wrong and how it may harm them. Children, when warned, they listen. If you shelter them without talking about the danger, they are more likely to get harmed by the thing you try to protect them from. Tell them what, why, and how something is dangerous. Do your research, and perhaps it may even show you something that you have been doing wrong on the internet. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'd appreciate any kind of support. Vicky out.